Welcome back to Brand Institute of Forensics and Security. How are you, my fellow CCTV professionals? How are you, my fellow security professionals? How are you, those who are in different fields, cyber security, security management, all these things revolve around securing people, securing systems, safeguarding assets, and safeguarding property, or rather protecting property. And today we are going to continue with CCTV surveillance, and we shall be talking about CCTV security. How do you secure CCTV security? We shall basically discuss this from two perspectives. How do you secure CCTV security from hackers as relates to cyber security, and how do you secure CCTV systems from a physical security point of view? As you well know, that these systems are very vulnerable, and these systems are very important in protecting people and assets, and also in assisting in follow-up. You all know the functions of CCTV. I'll not repeat it here, just to mention a few. We have got the aspect of deterrence. We have got the aspect of follow-up investigations. We have the aspect of playing a role in prevention of crime. We have got the aspect of keeping records, maintaining records, and even we have got the aspect of management control. CCTV systems assist in management control, in that when you fix cameras inside a particular location where people are working, then you can manage quite a number of people. You can manage a number of operations just from inside the CCTV control room. And as you know, there is a lot happening now in terms of technology. There are issues developing related to video analytics. There are issues developing related to artificial intelligence. There are issues developing each and every day. So we have to move with speed and catch up with the level of technology and where CCTV is headed. With those few remarks, we will talk about introduction, which is the security systems are increasingly internet connected. Security systems are increasingly internet connected, driven in great part by customer demand for remote video access. Customer demand for remote video access. Remote video access means that you can access your videos from a different location. You can travel home and you can still access your company and see whatever is happening. The systems range from cloud managed surveillance systems, that is another new avenue also in terms of technology, traditional DVR, VMS, and NVRs connected to the internet, and the traditional systems connected to a local network, which in turn is connected to the internet. So when we talk about CCTV surveillance in this age, when we talk about CCTV technology, then the internet plays a major role. That is where we are headed, and that is where we are. With cyber attacks accelerating, physical security integrators and internal support staff must keep up to date on cyber security attack vectors, which can impact the camera video management systems. Camera video management systems. Systems they will sell and or support. These systems require the same level of protection from cyber security vulnerabilities given to traditional IT systems. Initially, the focus has been a lot on safeguarding IT systems, but now you see these CCTV systems also require the same level of protection from cyber security vulnerabilities given to traditional IT systems. What we mean to say, you as a security professional, you as a CCTV surveillance, you as a security manager, you cannot stand alone. You need to work in closely conjunction with IT department, with IT professionals in issues related to safeguarding CCTV systems. Now, this presentation focuses on the best practices for internet-connected security camera systems. Many of these practices may be also applied to other physical security systems. So we shall be talking about security camera systems that are connected to the internet, but also these best practices may be applicable to other physical security systems. Systems are distinguished as follows. 1. A traditional system, either DVR, NVR, or VMS with an internet connection, typically for the purpose of remote video access. Remember, VMS is video management system. Number 2 is cloud managed system. So we have traditional systems, either with DVR, NVR, or VMS. And then we have cloud managed system, also called VSAAS. With a cloud managed system, though there may be an on-site device, the video is recording and managed from the cloud. The video is recording and managed from the cloud. There are differences with each of these categories that impact features and functions. However, this top-level distinction will offer clarity in how you can apply cyber security best practices, as well as what questions to ask your provider, your CCTV provider. Let's ask a question. Can CCTV systems be hacked? Can CCTV systems be hacked? And the answer is definitely yes. Any device connected to the internet can be hacked, and that includes security cameras. So even your phone can be hacked. Wired cameras are less vulnerable than Wi-Fi cameras, and those with local storage are less vulnerable than cameras that store video on a cloud-based server. We said everything has got an advantage and a disadvantage. You see, analog systems, the resolutions of the cameras is not very good. They are bulky systems. They are old age systems. Clarity of videos is not very clear. However, when you look at Wi-Fi cameras, the resolution is very good. They are not bulky, they are compact, among other advantages and features. However, again, when you look at hacking, you find that analog or wired cameras are less vulnerable than compared to Wi-Fi cameras. However, all cameras can be hacked. This could allow criminals to access and watch private videos, listen to sensitive conversations, and record activities without your knowledge. They also potentially could access any other device on company network, such as computers or smartphones. So the answer to the question that can CCTV systems be hacked is yes. CCTV systems can be hacked. Both analog, both IP address system, and even hybrid systems can be hacked. All security cameras are therefore vulnerable. However, listen to the following closely. The brand of a camera and how it is set up on the network are the most important risk factors. The brand of the camera and how it is set up on the network are the most important risk factors. Some manufacturers are more security conscious than others, and most of the risk of having a home security or business security camera can be mitigated if you take appropriate precautions on your network. Most security camera hacks aren't the fault of the camera company. They usually happen because system owners use the same password on another site, and that database is breached. Then the ability to hack the camera system increases. Write down password. So number 1, write down brand. And then number 2, write down password. And then number 3, write down connection to network. So first of all, write down brand of cameras. Second, write down connection, how the camera is connected to the network. And then now come here and write down passwords. Another lapse is failure to change default password on the camera when they are bought and installed. This is something you should always keep in your mind, that if you are purchasing a new system or new cameras, you have to change default password on the camera when they are bought and installed. Sometimes, however, it is the manufacturer's fault. Cloud-based security cameras store their footage on a server And hackers can attempt to infiltrate those systems to access that footage directly. Cloud-based security cameras store their footage on a server, and hackers can attempt to infiltrate those systems to access the footage directly. They are more likely to succeed if the camera company doesn't implement good security practices. Some cameras work with a cloud service and send all video data to the cloud. You see, some cameras work with a cloud service and send all video data to the cloud. So those are some of the vulnerabilities. This type of camera is also vulnerable to hacking of the cloud service or theft of video data from the cloud service. Even if the hackers cannot directly connect to the cameras on your network. This is why security cameras should be purchased from well-known companies or rather vendors. A brand that's been around for years and has many positive reviews is possible. So when investing in CCTV systems, if you are a security manager here or a professional assistant security manager and you are being tasked to purchase a CCTV system, please buy cameras from well-known companies. A brand that's been around for years and has as many positive reviews as possible. Then definitely you shall be talking about expense. Because when you buy a brand that is well-known and has been here for some time, then the products are expensive. However, when it comes to security, don't take compromises. You rather spend a substantial amount on an expensive camera system rather than spend less amount on a cheap cameras, and then eventually they are hacked and you lose information and you lose your ability to protect people. Protecting CCTV systems. Let's turn our attention to protecting CCTV systems. I try as my level best to try and raise my voice and to try and put some more energy into my voice so you can hear me closely. But if the voice is a little bit down, you can let me know, or you can let your administrator know, and then they will communicate with me. Alternatively, we can as well switch on, upgrade the system and put at least a high volume from the class side. However, I'm trying my best to speak with a lot of energy so that the message can come across to you clearly. We are turning our attention to protecting CCTV systems. And when we talk about protecting CCTV systems, we are going to begin with physical security. And physical security is a dangerous door for cyber attacks. A dangerous door for cyber attacks. Cyber attacks continue to escalate. Reading about millions of breaches in the news headlines are becoming commonplace. Liabilities for damages are a great risk to companies. It is therefore critical that security camera systems get the same level of attention to and protection from cybersecurity vulnerabilities that are given to traditional IT systems. We have spoken about that. Physical security integrators and the internal support staff must keep up to date on cybersecurity attack vectors, which can impact the camera video management systems they sell and or support. System integrators are system installers, system purchasers, system vendors, those people who supply CCTV systems. You may be wondering what is a physical security integrator. These are people who deal with the installation of systems, but by supply of systems. They sell systems, they procure systems. These are the people we call physical security integrators. Two major attack vectors for security camera systems. 5 major attack vectors for surveillance camera systems are: 1. Windows operating systems, Linux operating systems, DVRs, NVRs, MVS, endpoints, which is the camera itself, and firewall ports. We will discuss these attack vectors in context of applicable best practices, which can be deployed to protecting your surveillance system against them. So you have seen the major vector for security camera systems, and we have seen Windows, Linux, DVRs, endpoints, and firewalls. Now let's go to the best practices for cyber security camera systems. Number 1, this is camera passwords. Camera passwords. And what is the vulnerability for camera passwords? What are the vulnerabilities for camera? So the vulnerability with the camera password. At first glance, camera passwords may seem like too obvious a security measure to discuss. However, a Network World article in November 2014, and that's quite a number of years ago, cited that 73,000 locations with IP cameras from 256 countries were exposed on one website. The United States topped the list with 11,000 links, where each link could have up to 8 or 16 cameras. Further, it is estimated that 1 in 5 web users still use easy to hack passwords. So number one vulnerability is passwords. That's number one, vulnerability, passwords. Now, what is the best practice? No, before we go to best practice, almost all cameras sold today have a web-based graphical user interface, GUI. As a student, find out more about that, and come with a default username and password, which is published on the internet. Some installers don't change the password at all and leave the same default password for all cameras. Very few cameras have a way to disable the GUI. So the security vulnerability is that someone can attempt to hack into the camera via the web GUI to guess a password. Graphical user interface. The hacker must have network access to do this, but the cameras are often on a shared network, not a physically separate network, or VALN. Password best practice. Traditional systems and cloud management systems, both. The ideal best practice is to assign a unique, long, non-obvious password for each camera. Such a meticulous process takes time to set up, is more difficult to administer, and is very hard to track. Therefore, many installers, unfortunately, use a single password for all of the cameras in an account. To allow for this challenge, an acceptable best practice is public network, different strong password for each camera, and then VLAN or physical private network. Have the same strong password for all cameras. Have the same strong passwords for all cameras when it comes to VLAN or physical private network. As a student also, I will leave it to you to find out the full abbreviation, the meaning for VLAN. You can ask some of our support staff and they will be able to offer you. So note it somewhere. 2 is port forwarding. Port forwarding. Vulnerability. Most end users now demand and expect video access from remote mobile devices. This feature is normally delivered by exposing the DVR, NVR, or VMC to the internet in some way. This typical exposure to the internet of an HTTP server is extremely dangerous, as there are a large number of malicious exploits that can be used to obtain access. Machines open to the internet are typically scanned more than 10,000 times a day. One example of this vulnerability was the Heartbelt OpenSSL exploit in 2014. Many manufacturers had to ask users to reset their passwords. So number 2 is port forwarding, and when we talk about port forwarding, the best practice for traditional systems is ideally do not connect unprotected server to the internet. Servers must be protected. If you do expose your system to the internet, then port forwarding as few ports as possible and utilize a next generation firewall which analyzes the protocol and blocks incorrect protocol sent over the wrong port. In an ideal situation, also deploy an intrusion detection system or IPS for further protection. Cloud managed system, when it comes to port forwarding, the more secure cloud-based systems do not have port forwarding. So no vulnerability exists and no incremental protection action is required. Ask integrator or provider to verify this for any system owned or are under consideration to be acquired. Firewalls vulnerability. As stated above, any on-premises DVR, NVR, VMS should have a firewall for protection. A firewall, I hope you know the meaning of a firewall. It is a technological system that is installed in between systems and the traffic of the internet, traffic of information. So it blocks out, it keeps away malicious intent that want to access your systems. A firewall for protection, especially if the system will be exposed to the internet for any type of remote access. Firewalls can be very complex with thousands of rules. The next generation firewalls are even more complex because they analyze the protocols going over the ports and verify that proper protocols are being used. Can you read more on firewalls? And then traditional best practice for traditional system. It is best to assign a professional network security expert to verify and configure a modern firewall. It is crucial to have clear documentation on the firewall configuration and regularly monitor and implement any necessary changes to the firewall configuration. And then for cloud managed systems, for cloud-based solution without port forwarding, an on-site firewall configuration is not needed. Speak with your integrator or system manufacturer to confirm this. Network topology. Vulnerability. Mixing the camera on a standard network without separation is a recipe for disaster. If the security camera system is connected to the main network, a doorway is created for hackers to enter the main network via the surveillance system or to enter physical security system through the main network. Some DVRs can even be shipped with a virus. Best practice, traditional and both cloud management systems. Ideally, place the security camera system on a physically separate network from the rest of the network. Can you understand that? Place the security camera system on a physically separate network from the rest of the network. And then acceptable best practice, if integrating with a sophisticated IT environment, it is not always possible to separate the two systems physically. In this event, use a VLAN. Operating systems. So let's turn our attention to operating systems. The on-premises video management system, DVR, NVR, or recording system will all have an operating system. The cameras all have an operating system. I hope this information is already on your fingertips, that all cameras have operating system. NVR, DVR, VMS all have operating systems. This is something you already know. All operating systems have vulnerabilities, both Windows-based and Linux-based. Windows operating system vulnerabilities are so well accepted that IT teams monitor them regularly. Recently, it has become more and more apparent that Linux has many vulnerabilities also, such as Shell's Shock 2014 and Ghost 2015, which made millions of systems vulnerable. In theory, system manufacturer would have a high-quality security team that is responsive in providing you with security updates. The reality is that many vendors don't do this on a regular basis. Therefore, the best practice here when it comes to traditional systems, when we talk about operating systems, is to ensure system and network are protected from malicious exploits. Track and monitor known operating system vulnerabilities, and then make sure that your operating system is up to date with all the security patches. If it's a Windows-based system, there are a lot of vulnerabilities and a lot of updates to be applied. And though they are less frequent, Linux vulnerabilities must also be tracked and addressed quickly. IT security professionals typically understand which ones are relevant and which ones you can skip. but this can be an extremely daunting task without the proper training and experience. You can also proactively contact your DVR NVR vendor to find out which operating system your NVR DVR is using, Linux or Windows, and also the operating system versions and the versions of the additional modules that sit on the operating system, e.g. Microsoft web page server, so you can understand which security vulnerabilities will impact you. Then track vulnerabilities to the operating system and contact your operating system vendor to see what patches are needed. I also encourage you to study on the side for a deeper understanding of operating system vulnerabilities. What do we mean by operating system vulnerabilities, and which are these vulnerabilities? What do we mean by operating system vulnerabilities, and which are these vulnerabilities? The best practice for video management system is to make sure that the machines are under the domain of the IT department, and that the IT department has the responsibilities and staff assigned to do the proper patching, upgrading, modifications, and has processes in place to make sure the machines are secure. Also, make sure your camera vendor is patching for security issues and that you are upgrading your camera's firmware as soon as new versions are available. I repeat again, work closely with IT, especially when it comes to issues related to CCTV surveillance. On the technical side, please work closely with IT department. I have seen managers in the industry who say, I cannot work with IT managers because I look at everybody with double eyes. No, you need IT in most of these security issues. You need IT in upgrading. You need IT in proper patching. You need IT in modifications. You need IT in doing everything, ensuring the machines are secure. Cloud management system. Still, we are talking about operating system vulnerabilities and their management, the best practice. Best practice for cloud management systems is to inquire with your integrator or cloud vendor if the cloud vendor has a dedicated experienced security team which monitors vulnerabilities. Also, confirm whether the cloud vendor will automatically send security patches updates through the cloud to on-premises appliance. If so, no action is required from the end user to do operating system security monitoring, patching, or upgrading. Operating system passwords. Now we have finished operating systems themselves. Now we look at operating systems password vulnerability. As with camera passwords, a weak system password can create an opportunity for cyber attacks on the surveillance system and the network. Unfortunately, in many operating system environments, the root password or the administrator password is shared among all the admins, spreading the security risk. You see, sharing the root password or administrator password is shared among all admins. Employee turnover, either through attrition or a change of roles, can create unexpected security holes. So the issue of sharing admin password, everybody should have their own password to access the system. Passwords should be created that everybody has their own password to access the system. Best practice when it comes to traditional systems. Set high, long passwords for operating systems. Additionally, establish policies and procedures for changing password. For example, the root admin password should be changed every time an employee with password access leaves the company or changes roles. When we come to cloud management, no action is required for cloud management. True cloud systems do not have separate passwords for operating system access. They only have system passwords for individual accounts. See below, which are explicitly deleted when employees leave or their roles change. You see how cloud management system works? It works in an advanced way compared to traditional systems. And then 7, we have system passwords. Now, system themselves, vulnerability. Unauthorized access to security camera system leaves both the surveillance system vulnerable and the network connected to it vulnerable. Best practice. Traditional system and cloud management system. Change surveillance system passwords on a schedule. Enforce security quality with the same stringency as company standard. Long, strong passwords are the best. System passwords is very important. And then we also speak about connection equipment vulnerability. A surprising number of DVR and NVR MVMs use connections which are not encrypted with SSL or equivalent. This risk could be identical to logging into a bank or doing online shopping without HTTPS. It creates password vulnerability and allows potential privacy and eavesdropping breaches. Best practice traditional systems, it is imperative that the connection be encrypted with SSL or equivalent. Ask your vendor how they handle this. Only choose vendors who encrypt their connections. When it comes to cloud-based management system, it is imperative that the connection be encrypted with SSL or equivalent. Many cloud vendors provide connection encryption, but it is variable. Confirm with your vendor how their systems handle this. And then also we go to video encryption vulnerability. In addition to insecure connections due to lack of encryption, the same privacy risks apply when the video is not encrypted when stored on the disk or in transit. Encrypt videos, especially those that are coming up for a further review for the purposes of undergoing through the criminal investigation procedures when it comes to investigation. In another presentation, I presented to you issues related to CCTV digital evidence courtroom best practices, and this is one of the things. Ensure the video that is encrypted when stored on the disk or in transit. When it comes to best practice both for traditional and cloud managed systems or a truly secure system, the video should be encrypted both when it is stored on the disk and when it is in transit. And then mobile access, password, account deletion, and encryption. Vulnerabilities apply doubly to mobile. And best practice is just as when you run the application on your personal computer, ensure that you have an encrypted connection for the mobile application on the IP, iPhone or Android to the video management system or NVR or DVR. Set high quality passwords and do password enforcement and account deletion when staff changes. Remember, when staff changes, turnover. Most companies, these are where most vulnerabilities occur. A person leaves the company, they had the very sensitive admin passwords, and the company doesn't follow up, and this person is able to access the systems from externally or share the passwords with the people who are still working within the company who do not have authority to access the systems. And then physical access to equipment, physical access and storage, physical access. And then we are now talking about physical security. Vulnerability. The financial rewards for stealing company data are sufficiently high enough that intruders will also seek to access your network by directly hacking into your on-site physical equipment. Best practice, traditional system. Keep secure cabinets, the cables, and the room where DVR NVRs are located. Switches and video storage servers are located. Provide secure access control to the room, including video security to monitor it. These areas where we have racks with the DVRs and the NVRs, they should be secured properly. There should also be a camera inside that particular room. If you have your DVRs and DVRs inside the control room, make sure there is a camera inside the control room. Don't ever take anything for granted. This practice only protects network, not only protects network, but prevents smash and dash thefts at facilities where the recording DVR and NVR is stolen along with any other items. When it comes to cloud management, the immediate cloud recording also protects against smash and dash theft of the on-site recording. It is important to inquire of your integrator or vendor what general security measures they take for their cloud servers. And then video recording software vulnerabilities. Video management software use a lot of components beyond the operating system, such as Microsoft database applications, as with the operating system itself. These components must be upgraded and secure. Many video management systems, for example, use Microsoft Access or libraries, as well as the software that they have written. New system vulnerabilities can be introduced if the supporting software is not kept up to date, including security patches. If you are a passive here, you are highly dependent on the provider sending patches for you to update the systems for such vulnerabilities. And then best practice, traditional, ask video management system vendor about their policy for keeping components they use to update and secure. Check for and install regular updates. Be proactive in monitoring the known security vulnerabilities in the industry and contact vendor or integrator when breaches occur. It is important to make sure the video management system vendor has a team focused on this and is sending updates regularly. Then when it comes to cloud management system, true cloud management systems do not have softwares on site, so no vulnerability exists here. However, it is very important to confirm if the system is truly cloud managed versus internet connected before making this assumption, or you risk exposure to a potential vulnerability. Summary: keep cameras safe from hackers. Choose a router with Wi-Fi protected access or Wi-Fi protected access to security, which encrypts data. 2. Enable cameras built-in firewall, which monitors and controls information coming to and from the camera. Instructions for doing so will be included with cameras. 3. Protect cameras with a strong password. If cameras come with the default passwords, change them immediately. And then 4. Protect Wi-Fi router with a strong password, different from the ones for the camera. This is a summary of what you need to do. Maybe you need to write something here about a router with a Wi-Fi protected access, enable cameras with built-in firewall, protect cameras with a strong password, protect Wi-Fi router with a strong password. Turn on two-factor authentication if it is offered. All the home or business security or all the home security camera companies in our ratings require two-factor authentication. This is from one of the vendors. Keep cameras firmware up to date. Use cameras geofencing capabilities to turn them off. Instructions for doing so will be included with cameras. This is, for example, if it is your own personal company or your own personal home and you are living for a long time, you will not be around and you won't need to turn on off the cameras, then use cameras geofencing capabilities. That which protects must itself be protected. That is a very strong statement, and this statement is from International Security Management Professionals, ISMI. It says that which protects must be protected. So if you are using the CCTV surveillance system to protect, then the CCTV surveillance system must be protected. Adversaries may try to circumvent security measures by disabling detection and surveillance systems or overpowering response forces. Intrusion detection systems should incorporate line supervision to alert operators to abnormal conditions and should, be the extent possible, be protected from being disabled. So that which protects must itself be protected. Remember that statement. That which protects must itself be protected. If you are a security manager and you have security people, their job is to protect people and protect property, then it is your responsibility to protect them. They have to be protected. The security team has to be protected. Don't leave it vulnerable to threats, because there are threats from different sources, people with different interests. So make sure your team is protected. Likewise, CCTV cameras should be mounted where it is difficult to access them, and masts should be protected against climbers. and if appropriate, housed in vandal-resistant domes. You see, physical security. Attention should also be given to protecting cabling. Security staff can be placed in protected gatehouses and should be issued with personal protective equipment appropriate to the threat and in accordance with the law. So you as a security manager, as a security leader, you have to do what? You have to ensure your people have the proper equipment. Your people must have the proper equipment necessary for operation. Therefore, attention should also be given to protecting cabling. Security staff can be placed in protected gatehouses and should be issued with personal protective equipment appropriate to the threat and in accordance with the law. Personal protective equipment may be defensive, such as stab-resistant body armor, or offensive, such as incapacitating sprays. Note the latter are illegal in many jurisdictions. And then conclusion, data breaches continue to accelerate throughout the world. With increasing internet connectivity, physical security systems are very vulnerable to cyber attacks, both as direct attacks and as an entrance to the rest of the network. It is prudent to protect the company and customers through preventive measures. To maximize cybersecurity, it is critical to define best practices as part of the security camera system assessment, as well as its deployment and maintenance. It is your role, you to play a role. Even if you are not the manager, even if you are not the senior CCTV surveillance officer, you have a say in during meetings, during briefings, to suggest that we need to do this and this and this to protect our CCTV surveillance system from hacks and from physical intrusion and from physical damage. You have a role. So I hope through this presentation you have learned something on how we can protect CCTV systems, and you have also realized that just as other items, CCTV systems are also subject to vulnerabilities and they are also subject to attacks. With those few remarks, I want to say thank you very much for listening to me. It is always a pleasure presenting to you this training through this training methodology. I am far away at the United States of America, and the best I can do to develop my fellow security officials or security professionals is through this mode of training. And this is where the world is moving. The world is moving away from physical classes, physical presence of lecturers. The world is moving towards now online training and online induction and online coachings. So I appreciate you, and once again, thank you and bye bye.